What's up, everybody? Joe Simpson. Just wanted to do a little garden tour this morning, show you guys around the mess I have going on here, but actually it's kind of fun because I'm getting some good progress. I don't know if you guys saw my videos last year, but I built these garden boxes. They're called SIP boxes. I don't know what the SIP stands for. I guess the takeaway is there's a labyrinth of pipes underneath, like irrigation pipes. There's a filler tube and there's two drain holes. I don't know if you can see that from the video being so far away, where when the pipes get to the proper level of water, it drains out the pipe on the bottom, the little drain holes. And that's when you know to shut off the water, and then the water kind of leaches up into the soil. It keeps the soil moist from the bottom up, as opposed to having to come out here and water and let it trickle down all the time. So if you're going away on a long weekend, it's going to be hot, and you put a bunch of water in here, typically everything makes it, through the hot spots without much of an issue. So here's kind of what I did this year versus last year that was different. Last year I just built these boxes and I filled them up with material, good mixture of dirt and soil and manure and fertilizers and things like that. And I went ahead and I planted your regular spring garden, and I went a little bit early. So I had tomatoes and peppers and some different things out here. It dropped really cold at the latter part of April last year, so I kind of pushed the envelope and got caught. Like right now, we're April 22. So for next week, we have the lows being 2 or 3 nights in the high 30s, and then the daytime temps of 60s. So that's not super warm. It's not going to hurt anything, but I'm just going to skip that week and probably plant first week of May. This February, we had a pretty warm February. My mom was visiting. So I thought, let's go fiddle around with some seeds and just see what we can get to go. So over here on this end, and I'll just give you the layout overview. There was no real rhyme or reason. I just kind of did it. I had some peas kind of on that perimeter forming an L shape. Now the peas that I put out were peas designed for microgreens. So I thought, oh, peas are peas. They'll grow, Microgreens or not. I didn't think there was a difference. I think there might be. They're not growing all that great. So I'll probably just chop up those pea greens and eat them in a salad or something. But I just, it wasn't really like a gardening attempt as much as it was kind of a science project. So I went peas, Swiss chard, and then I went 1, 2, 3 varieties of radishes. I just wanted to grow radishes. I know they're a hardy plant. They grow easily in the cold weather. And I've got a pretty good stand of radishes here. I didn't really weed them out and thin them out, so they got a little crowded. So next year I think what I'll do is be a little bit more purposeful the way I plant them. I might plant more because they're actually pretty good. One thing I noticed about radishes that I've grown versus the ones I buy in the store, and I'm sure it's a varietal thing, but they're milder. And it could just be because that's the kind I planted, but they're good. I like them a lot. Over here, I just spattered about some lettuce seeds. And it looks kind of like it's organized, but it actually wasn't. Now I did on purpose. I think this is spinach. I don't know what the heck this stuff is, but it's some type of darker green. I've got all different types of lettuce. I've got the Bibb lettuce. I've got this like something crisp lettuce, all different types. So this lettuce really took off pretty well for me. And then over here, I just do my little herbs. So I've got some sage, thyme, and basil. And the funny thing about thyme and basil, you can buy this stuff at the grocery store already packaged in some dirt. I just bring it, transplant it, clip off what I need, and then I'll just grow it until it kicks it, and then I'll just get another batch or another plant. It's a lot easier for me than just doing the seed. It's a little bit of a cheat, but that's okay. Over here I have some retransplanted Swiss chard, which was kind of randomly growing through here, so I just made like a little short row up front. So yeah, over on this end, this is the L peas that I have. I've got the Swiss chard all through here. You can kind of see this stuff. It's doing nicely. And I've transplanted a few different varieties from my interior hydroponic system, which I'll go in and I'll show you here in a little while. And then this is all the different varieties of the radishes. And you can see in here, well, I'll pull one up for you. You can see in here, they're coming along pretty nicely and doing what they're supposed to be doing. So yeah, these are really mild. I love how they have those like 2 little things down here. I forget what they call those. They look like hands, so it looks like little people. I know, kind of weird, geeky. But yeah, good looking radish. Lettuce is nice and strong. The weather's been great. It's just been crispy and cool. Perfect. I come out here and sprinkle it with a little water every now and then. And So what I was going to show you up close since I'm here is, you see how this thing's draining out? That is because I have filled all the piping underneath up to about the halfway point, which is where this drain tube is. And when you hit the halfway point, that's when you know you have enough water, because it'll start draining out of this hole. And then it'll eventually stop when it levels off. And then you have water just sitting in those pipes with some airspace. And that airspace allows, you know, the dirt to kind of soak up and get that water up into it. And again, I have Swiss chard, I have some endive. That was transplanted from inside. It's having a rough time getting reacclimated to real sun instead of grow lights. But here is the basil from the store, the thyme from the store, and some good looking sage. That grew from last year. That was a existing bush that regrew from last year. So yeah, these are my potatoes here. I have a couple more bags, and what I'd like to do is start some earlies. So sometime by the 1st of June, mid-June, I pull these out, and then I'll recycle them, put another round of potatoes in there. So by the fall, I'll have another couple of bags of potatoes. So usually I get 3 or 4 pounds of potatoes out of each bag. And these are store-bought potatoes that I just planted once they started putting off their little spud arms and stuff. Put them in there and they're growing. I'm going to be hilling this off here pretty soon. So if you look at these, you can see they're starting to shoot out of the ground. What I'd like to do is build this dirt up as they grow up. And then that allows that more space for these to create more potatoes. So by the time I'm done growing these potatoes, there'll be dirt all the way to the top of these bags, and these plants will grow, you know, probably 2 times as tall as these bags. And then as soon as these plants start to die off, you can dump them over and pull out some potatoes. So right over here, let's real quick, you can see this is gushing out, so I'm completely full. And I don't need to be running any more water into this little gardening bed. And eventually this bed will drain out and settle down and stop flowing. This is like a, I don't know, 36, maybe a 40 inch by 40 inch. And in here I put some spinach out front, and it's doing pretty well. And then I had some weeds growing back here. I made a mistake, I think. In the winter, I covered some of these seeds with straw, and when you do that, you introduce weeds all over the place. So note to self, no straw in my raised garden beds anymore, unless it's like pure, really good stuff, no weeds. I thought this plant here was something you eat, and I just kept growing it, and I think it's a weed. Maybe you guys will know. Here, let me go up close. Here's my good looking spinach. You got to be careful sometimes watering this stuff in the middle of the day. You'll get little burns and stuff from the magnification of the lighting. But back here you'll see, like, is this a weed? I'm pretty sure it's a weed. I don't even know what kind of weed, but I've chewed on it. It doesn't taste horrible, but I don't think it's anything I've ever tasted. So I'm going to be yanking all this out and weeding it and planting tomatoes and stuff. So what I want to do here is talk about these hinge hoops, and I'll give you a closer view with my phone as we go through this. But what I did was basically create a PVC hoop frame, and that's pretty easy to do. There's a couple of videos online of people making these, and then I think James Prigioni does a really good video of how to make these, and I'll explain how I did. I just took some 2x4s and created a square box frame on top of this, and then I have some bracing that will hold it open. Now it doesn't have any tie downs or anything for like high winds, so there's been a couple times when these things blow a little bit, but you could, you know, MacGyver these things to do whatever it is you need them to do. But for me, they work pretty simple. When it's super cold at night, going to get below 40, maybe in the mid 30s, I'll just shut these down. Come up in the morning, they'll be all full of like condensation and warmth. And then when the temps get back up over 40, I'll open them up, let the air blow. And so usually they stay open. But I can shut them down if I need to. But they were great in February when I was trying to get the seeds to go. I would just close it down, fill these things with water. You'd have water just drifting up through the soil, and these seeds came on pretty quickly once the temperatures of the soil got to a certain point. Here's the closer view. I use these little sticks on the end to hold down the plastic, and my plan is to pull these off and recycle and reuse these. But yeah, you can see to hold down the plastic. Well, here, let me just shut one for you. I have these braces that have like kind of teeth cut into them, and I can just pull the brace off and I can just let it down. Now it's going to smash some of these plants because they're getting big. I haven't put them down in a while, but when it's in a closed fashion, of course you could push that stuff up in there. It does a really good job. Now I use these clips that hold on the plastic, keeps the plastic from blowing around. And these are just little end caps screwed into the wood, frames that go over, plastic, and then I put a little tap screw here to just kind of pin everything together. I use T's at the end, and I put a little diagonal bracing in these corners just to keep them kind of square. And then on the back, if we walk around the back here, I just use like a pretty heavy duty like galvanized door hinge or something. Nothing super beautiful, but they do the job. They're not like super arced and perfectly made, and you know, but hey, it is a little ecosystem. So what I do is I have these stakes, I have these sticks basically that I have mounted a screw on the end on both of these to where I can kind of just let it down. So yeah, why don't we go into the garage? I'm going to show you all the plants that I'm going to plant, and you guys can take a look at what's on deck for me in the garden this year. And I'd love some recommendations of things you think I should be growing. And we'll talk about that here in a second. So this is where, in my opinion, the fun begins, because you have all of the stuff that you're getting ready to plant. Now, all of this isn't going into my garden. I just don't have the space. But I wanted to walk through some of the things that I had actually brought online from seed. You know, I have some of these eggplants and larger things that I'm going to be transplanting in. I've got some Sweet Cow Wonders. I've got these tomato plants are crazy. I've got this one's called an early treat. These are all from seed. It's nuts. This one is a miscellaneous tomato. I don't know what kind that is, but it's looking strong. I've got 4th of July, which these put out a good 2-inch fruit sometime around the July. And I've gotten into some colors this year. Let's see. Oh, here you go, gold medal. These are going to be like more of a orange color, kind of an orangey yellow tomato. And then when you plant these and transplant these, a lot of people say you want to clip off these lower legs and plant this thing all the way down deep, you know, up to about here, because it's going to give you more root propagation off of the shaft down here, including the roots that are already there. So that's going to be kind of the way I go about that. And many of these are just going to get given away to friends because it's fun and I like sharing. Now I'm going to flank my front door with these. This says Coccozelli. These are actually Tiny Tims. I reuse these cups. So these Tiny Tims are a determinant, so they're going to just put out fruit one good time, and they're going to get to a certain level, and then once they do their thing, they're done. So I'm going to put these in pots on either side of my front door, so I've got tomatoes to pick at when I come in and out. And yeah, tons of like green peppers, Sweet Cow Wonders, which are peppers also. And then, oh, here's a cool tomato plant. This one is a Saldaki. I found out about the Saldaki through James Prigioni. And it's a little bit cold hardy. It's a potato leaf tomato plant versus a regular tomato plant. It's got the little spiky leaves. And this is a popular one. He likes it a lot for sandwiches. Has a nice balance between acidity and sweetness. So I'm going to give those a run this year. Set this guy out here, let him have some sun today. Got some good looking Thai peppers here. These guys are going to be probably good ones. Some of these get a little leggy, a little long. What you might want to do is stick a little skewer and then kind of strap them off so they tighten up. But I'm usually okay. I'll usually just clip the last 2 leaves off and transplant these things about here. And then as soon as the warm weather hits, they take off like crazy. So here's some of the different plants that I have. Some tomato plants, eggplants, zucchinis. All those are coming on board. I've got really good looking peppers. Here's that Saldaki with the potato plant leaves. Lots and lots of tomato plants. I've got baby boomers, Cherokee purples, early surprise. I've got, look at these green peppers. Those things are looking really good. It's nice. And yeah, so at this point, I'm going to leave it running, but I'm going to walk in here and show you my, sorry about the messy garage. I've been doing some remodeling for my daughter's apartment. But I wanted to bring you in here and show you my towers. A lot of people like these. This is actually mustard greens, and those things are taking off. I used to have a head of lettuce here that was like humongous. I just harvested that and ate that with my wife's birthday yesterday. I got a couple lingering peppers in here, and I've got some Swiss chard around back. I'm going to be moving that out here soon. But you'll notice I vacated all the spots. And what I did this year was, you can see I have Saldaki, Sweet Cow Wonder, Gold Medal. I seeded all of my plants that I transferred out to those pots in these growers because it just does so well. You put these seeds in here, you water it, and it just takes off. The thing is, they get overwhelming in here, they get big. So what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to use this as my lettuce grower. And I'm going to just grow lettuce in these inside so they don't bolt and get super hot. And then I'm going to grow the hot vegetables outside in the garden. So that's really it, guys. That's my spring garden tour. I wanted to just bring you along and show you what we were doing to get started for the garden this year. And again, this is only my second year gardening, so I really have no clue what I'm doing. But I'm really excited to grow some more vegetables this year, and hopefully you guys can come along for the journey. Let me know if you have any questions or input, feedback, whatever. Let's talk. See you guys. Bye.